Hi there, I am Claude-Stephanie. I am a Vice President in the Central Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa Investment Banking team at Citi. I joined Citi 3 years ago. I studied at Durham University, and then when I got my degree, I wasn't entirely sure which sort of industry I was willing to go into. I went to a career fair my last year of university, and I got the opportunity to actually talk to a couple of female bankers that were sort of active in the city. I found that they were very smart. I found that they were funny. They were very well dressed, looking very glamorous, and they sort of taught me into trying a career into banking. And they sort of managed to, let's say, go away and sort of clean up all of the stereotypes that you can have, as you know, the banking is very male orientated, banking is very aggressive. So they managed to talk me through the process, and I actually thought a career in banking would be interesting in the sense that it would give me an opportunity to work with different nationalities, would give me an opportunity to work in the city, in London, be in the middle of the action, and work in the capital of the finance in Europe, really. Right, I think one thing that I find absolutely fascinating about investment banking, and at Citi in particular, is that you never really have one day that looks like the other. Right, I work in mergers and acquisitions, which means in the morning I would be asked to run a financial model because my client, a private equity, for example, would want to have an analysis on the returns of an investment that they are willing to make. So in the morning I will be a financial analyst. At lunchtime, my boss would ask me to sit into a session where we have lawyers analyzing legal documentation for a deal that is happening, let's say, in Russia. Right, so for 2 hours, I would be a lawyer. And then in the afternoon, I'll be asked to sit in a due diligence session. And a due diligence session for bankers is before a company actually goes onto the market, for example. The due diligence session consists in going through the accounts of the company and making sure that everything is clean and Citi can actually put their stamp on that company. So in the afternoon, I'll be an accountant. And I think that's what I find really interesting. No day is like the other in banking. You walk into the morning, you think you have a plan. I make a list every morning of the 5 things that I need to do. And at 6 p.m. when I look at it, I've done 1 or 0. And I've been just doing other things. So it's quite exciting to work in a very versatile environment and unpredictable to a certain extent. What is the most exciting thing about working at Citi? I would say it's the global platform that Citi gives you. I started my career at another bank, and I joined 3 years ago. And really, the reasons why I made the conscious choice to come here is because you have presence in almost all countries in the world. Citi is present in Africa, in Europe, Middle East, Latin America, Asia, right? So you actually have an ability to, let's say, work with people in Tokyo, work with people in New York, and that, let's say, it's not only enriching for you, but it's also enriching for your client in what you can actually offer to them, because you're able, for a client, a Japanese client, serve them in Lagos in Africa, give them the exact same service in Latin America and in New York. For an individual like me sitting in the middle of that, it's very interesting, enriching culturally, but also I think intellectually, in the sense that you cover all sorts of businesses. You have a client who's at Citi and who's offering equity solutions, who's offering debt solution, who's offering corporate banking solution, and that's a global platform, not only geographically, but also in terms of the different products that you can offer to the clients, and you learn a lot from it, and it makes you just a well-rounded, more interesting and more knowledgeable banker, really. When I think about Citi and the culture that the organization actually tries to promote, I would say what is quite unique is the liberty that you have, or the freedom that you have when it comes to thinking. We are all from very different walks of life. In my team, we have engineers. In my team, we have lawyers. We have people that studied philosophy and psychology, right? And when it comes to actually preparing materials for a client, for example, preparing for a pitch, we come with all sorts of ideas. The engineers want to focus on the numbers. The lawyers want to focus on the more, let's say, intellectual, text-worthy content. And that it gives you a wealth and a breadth, I would say, of dialogue. And that I think is very enriching and is very characteristic of what Citi stands for. On top of it, when you add the fact that we are all from different nationalities, we are all from different walks of life, it gives a very interesting mix.